Hi, second grade. Today I'm going to share a story with you that I love to read every year. It is called Ducky by Eve Bunting. Now, this is the same author that wrote the story that we read on St. Patrick's Day. That's What Leprechauns Do. She is one of my most favorite authors, and I think after reading this, you'll see why. Very creative. So the first thing I noticed on the front cover is, one, the bubble letters that the illustrator used to make the word Ducky. And I noticed that this ducky doesn't look like a real duck. It looks like a rubber duck. Not the kind that lives and breathes, but the kind that you might float in your bathtub. The water, however, does not quite look like a bathtub. The illustrator, David Wisnowski, also really enjoys using borders in this book. And if you look closely into the borders, you will notice other bathtub toys. I see a turtle, a red beaver, a green frog, and the yellow rubber duck. So let's read to find out what this story is all about. On the first page, the front cover, the title page, I see that word ducky again, and a man working on what looks to be a dock. And that's my dog squeaking his dog toy. Ducky by Eve Bunting, illustrated by Dave Wisnowski. All right, I'm going to pause this so I can take my dog's toy away from him. All right, now let's try that again. Ducky. I am a yellow plastic duck, and I am in great danger. Yesterday, I was snuggled safe with hundreds of other bathtub toys. We were in a crate on a big ship. A storm came, and we were washed overboard. So after reading the very first page, I noticed that the perspective of this story, the point of view, it's told from the ducky, and you can see in this picture, it looks like he's sweating. He's nervous. Down, down, down it went. We tumbled around inside. Yellow ducks, green frogs, blue turtles, and red beavers. Bump, crash. We hit the bottom. The crate broke, and we bobbed the colored bubbles to the surface. The sun is rising now, and the sea is pink. My bathtub friends float all around me. Our ship has disappeared. The sea is big, big, big. Oh, I am scared. Now, out of all the rubber duckies, I'm wondering which one of these would be our main character that's telling the story. I think it's this one. We have a close-up here. You can see the worry in his face. Fish with watery eyes come to stare. A sea snake wiggles itself among us. A great shark rises its head close to me. Shark! I go from scared to terrified. The shark's mouth opens and it gulps in a frog, 2 beavers, 3 turtles, and me. Things and bits of things are stuck in its giant teeth. Poof! It shakes its head and spits us out. I expect we are not too tasty, though we are guaranteed non-toxic. I wish we could swim and get away, but all we can do is float. It is such a relief when the shark goes away. A wedge of pelicans, or birds, fly above us. Oh, how I wish I could fly! I'd fly to safety. The frog next to me is turned upside down by a wave and then right side up by another. But we are drifting far from one another. Great sea spaces separate us. High on a sea swell, I see us spread across the ocean for miles and miles. You can see the pelicans floating up above. And there's our main character. The next morning, I have no yellow ducks, green frogs, blue turtles, or red beavers to keep me company. Like the ship, they have left, and I am alone. Can you spot our main character on this page? Have to look really close. Right there. I can't tell how long I float on the big empty ocean. There are days when the sun sparks the water, when the ocean is blue with white ruffles. There are days when I float through the rain, days when the wind blows me backward, tumbling me like a yellow ball. It is all the same to me. I only know the loneliness. There are days when the fog hides me, even from myself. Then I am lonelier and lonelier than ever. I feel sorry for this yellow ducky. There are nights of clouds and nights of constellations. That was a vocab word in our unit that we did together before we left. There is a moon and another and another. The water must be colder now. Ice nudges me. Seals bark as I go by. You see the seals on the rocks here, on the iceberg. Will I float in this ocean forever and ever? I'll zoom in so you can see our little yellow duck friend in the moonlight, surrounded by the constellations. I can't imagine how lonely he must feel. It is on the day of pale light that I feel the sea lift me, carry me, and then crash me down. Oh, I'm somersaulting over small stones. What is happening to me now? Someone is shouting. I found one. I found one. It's a duck. You can see the shadows in the illustration. So I'm predicting that it sounds like maybe two children have found them. You can see the outline of the shadow. You sound excited. A boy's face is close to mine. We are nose to beak and beak to nose. Another boy rubs my head. Hi, Ducky. That's what I'll call him, my boy says. His friend grins. Good name. Very original. I need to report that I found him, my boy says. He gets on a bike. Mrs. James is keeping a record for science. For science, I think. Me? A ducky? Wonder why Mrs. James, who must be a teacher, would be keeping a record of finding a rubber duck. But then I look at the illustration on the next page and I see, let's see here. I see a blue turtle. I see a yellow duck, a green frog, a red beaver in the hardware store. I see that this man has a yellow duck and she has a blue turtle. A blue turtle is here in the purse. If I spend time on this page, I can find all sorts of rubber bath toys. My gosh, look at this. It's so great to see my friends again. There's even one peeking out of that man's backpack on his back, on top of the dog. Ducks found. That's what her notebook says. Now we are in a room, and my boy sets me on a table. I found him on the beach, Mrs. James, he tells a woman. Well, thank you for reporting it, she says. She writes it in a notebook. I'll put it on my ducks found list. People are finding a lot of these bathtub toys around town. The scientists are also interested. Duck's coming home with me, my boy says. Duck doesn't look so worried anymore. We ride to his house and he puts me in his bathtub. Oh, I am so happy. I am a bathtub duck fulfilling my destiny. How wondrous it is to be able to float. And here's a note from our author giving some background on her topic that she chose. In 1992, a crate containing 29,000 plastic bathtub toys left on a ship from Hong Kong, China, bound for Tacoma, Washington, United States of America. It washed overboard in a storm. Then hundreds of toys have been found since. They've been beached on the eastern coast of the Gulf of Alaska. Scientists are checking findings and sightings to learn more about currents, winds, and tides. Using computers, they plot the track of the remaining toys. Some they believe will go to the Arctic Ocean, ride across to the North Pole. Some could sail around to the top of the worlds to the North Atlantic. One lone duck has been found off Washington State. How wondrous it is to be able to float.